Hi, I'm Joanne Antoun, founder and creator of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail and the International Institute of Combined Therapy Cocktail. Most people, I'm sure, have seen the wonderful movie The Wizard of Oz, but did you see all the wonderful messages and pearls of wisdom that it was actually offering you? By the end of this video, I'm sure that if you haven't seen it, you'll want to see it. And if you have, then I guarantee you that you'll want to see it again. This time though, you'll be seeing it through very different eyes. The journey of life begins and ends the same for everyone. The difference is how we play out our lives along the way. Throughout our lives, we are given opportunities to learn and grow, usually in the form of some sort of challenge or chaos. Now, these things are not sent to punish us, but to develop us. We are never sent anything that we can't handle. We do have within us all that we need. Within our heart center is the power that no challenge can defeat. You just need to go within. Now, it's a journey that requires being diligent and brave because it requires facing our own demons and being completely honest with yourself. However, as you navigate your way to the heart, you will find that it is also the most rewarding journey that you will ever take. The journey to something more usually begins because of some sort of disharmony or chaos in our lives. Chaos instigates change. It is and has always been the driving force for evolution. There comes a time where we are forced to realize that we cannot keep doing things the same way and expect a different result. We must set out on our inward journey to find our true selves or whole self. We must grow. We simply must evolve. Just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, we need our crisis or wake-up call to set us on that inward journey, the journey to our heart center. The Wizard of Oz, like many movies, is full of symbolism about life's journey. Lyman Frank Baum first published The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900, and there were a number of adaptations before MGM released the classic movie in 1939. The story, although over 100 years old, still manages to strike a chord in the hearts of everyone, no matter what age. This movie so beautifully contains timeless truths about our journey of life and the power of our heart, our head, and our will. The story begins with Dorothy, short for Dorothea, which means divine gift in Greek, a lonely orphan child wishing to be somewhere different, a place where there isn't any trouble. She asks her heart center, represented in the movie by her dog Toto, who loves her unconditionally, "Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto?" Now, Toto in Latin means in total, everything. Dorothy knows you can't get there by boat or train. She believes it's behind the moon, beyond the rain, somewhere over that rainbow. Like most people, she believes that all that she seeks, all that she needs, is somewhere outside of herself. A tornado, chaos, which is the dark night of the soul, hits and lifts the house, which is symbolic of the whole self. It lifts it up into the air. Dorothy hits her head and is knocked unconscious, transported into an inner world where she will receive grace and the opportunity to discover her real self. More often than not, it takes a really hard knock before we even consider such a journey. Dorothy arrives in Munchkin Land, where she famously says, "Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore." Toto, her constant companion, is her heart, her intuition, a reminder that everything that she needs is within her. The problem is she just doesn't know it yet. Dorothy is then met by two witches. The Wicked Witch of the West symbolises our ego, that sabotaging part of ourselves, the part that tries to control us through fear and deprives us of our personal power. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, represents our guidance. Now, our guidance is always there, but allows us to make our own discoveries and choices. Together, both the witches represent the shadow and the light. Dorothy, upon arriving in Munchkinland, is blessed with the gift of the ruby shoes. Now she's told to never let the shoes off her feet, meaning always walk in faith, never ever let go of your passion. You can make anything happen as long as you walk in faith, not fear. But you see, she's still unaware of the true power that lies within her. Dorothy's journey, just like ours, entails finding parts or aspects of herself. She needs to transform and recognize her own personal power. Dorothy must now embark on her spiritual journey, which is symbolized by that yellow brick road. If she wants to go home, she must stay on the path. She must go to the land of Oz. Her inner and outer worlds are connected. The characters in the land of Oz reflect those of her life in Kansas. Symbolic of the fact that often our external world is a mirror of our internal world. The fact that the house her whole self landed on the Wicked Witch of the East, killing her, and now she wears her ruby shoes, is symbolic of the fact that Dorothy was ready for independence, although frightened. She was ready to wear the shoes, to walk the path, and to do her own inner work. Throughout our lives, we are sent opportunities in the form of crisis to prompt us to stop playing the role of victim and accept responsibility for where we are, who we have become, literally for our whole lives. This requires taking that inward journey, being completely honest and healing those aspects of ourselves that are fragmented or incomplete. This is the precursor to growth. Along the way, Dorothy meets those parts of herself, the Scarecrow who represents her head, the intellect, the Tin Man who represents her heart, the ability to have compassion and to love unconditionally, and the Cowardly Lion who represents her will, the courage to make more empowered choices and to follow through. Dorothy must overcome a number of challenges in order to find her true self. The ego, the Wicked Witch of the West, tries repeatedly to sabotage the journey, creating obstacles to stop her from reaching the Emerald Palace, that place of enlightenment. Dorothy and her companions spot the beautiful palace off in the distance and make a run for it, deciding to leave the yellow brick road and take that shortcut cross-country through the poppy field. She falls asleep under the spell of the poppies, symbolizing that there are no shortcuts. Staying on the path requires focus and diligence. Time is what is required to integrate new learnings, and sometimes we must process these things quite deeply and in an unconscious state. They finally arrive at Oz only to find out that they must pass a test. They must bring back the broom of the Wicked Witch. Never ever become complacent, because there is always a test, an opportunity for you to be who you say you are. Dorothy is then captured by that Wicked Witch, symbolizing or symbolically weighed down by the ego and the role it plays in our lives, keeping us stuck in fear, feelings of being alone and abandoned. This forces Dorothy to call on the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion for assistance. In essence, what she's actually doing is calling her own intellect, her own heart, and her courage. The witch sets the Scarecrow on fire, representing the ego trying to gain control of the mind. Dorothy picks up a bucket of water and throws it over the Scarecrow, also getting the Wicked Witch, who melts away immediately. It's funny, isn't it? Something as simple and pure as water is all that was needed to be free of the witch's power. We usually believe that our problems are big and require big complex solutions, but if we bring our problems down to their simplest, purest form, you'll realize that there is always a simple solution. Remember, there is always a solution, and more often than not, we miss it because it's so simple. Now Dorothy is truly free. A world that once frightened her has dissolved. She sees things differently. Once back at the Emerald City, the wizard is exposed by Toto. Toto, her heart of hearts, draws back that curtain, showing that the wizard is just role-playing. This giving her yet another opportunity to see that she doesn't really need anyone else, that she has all she needs within her. Now, it's one thing to have done the work and gained wisdom, but true wisdom lies in the doing. It's not what you know, but what you do with what you know that matters. The wizard obviously can't supply a brain and a heart, but the recognition that these qualities already exist. The Tin Man received a mechanical heart in recognition of the compassion that he had already found. The Scarecrow received a diploma in recognition of the intellect and creativity already displayed. And the Lion received a medal in recognition of the bravery which he had shown. Dorothy has now developed and integrated these parts of herself, but unfortunately she still believes that only someone else can show her the way home. Glinda, the good witch, her guidance again arrives on the scene, only to tell her that she had always had that power to go home. All she needed to do was believe, to close her eyes, to see herself at home, to click her heels and simply say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Dorothy wakes up at home. She literally has her awakening. Even though her surroundings are as they were, she isn't. She's fully transformed. She has awakened her heart center and knows that nothing can ever be the same again. Her crisis was the driver that instigated a journey that would give her every opportunity to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. If it were not for her journey, she would not have found her whole self. So with that, let the challenges of your journey be your opportunity to discover your whole self. Remember, you have everything that you need within you. Heal the aspects of yourself that hold you back and know that you are the power in your world. All you need to do is simply believe. So here are some questions you can ask to help you on your journey. You can either pause the video while you answer them, or if you're on my website, you'll actually see them listed at the bottom of this page. So briefly describe a challenge that you have faced. What limiting beliefs, fears, and emotions surfaced at the time of that challenge? Are there emotions, or is this type of challenge a recurring feature in your life? Who were the people that you attracted or stood out for you during this time? List those that you believe were a positive or negative influence. In one sentence, describe what lesson or learning came from each of them. Have you learned and integrated the lesson that came with each of these people, or are you repeating old patterns? And now list more empowered choices that you are now ready to make. And now I want you to affirm the following daily. I see the challenges of my journey as a perfect opportunity to discover my whole self, and this excites me. I know I have everything I need within me. I now heal all aspects of myself that hold me back. I heal and move forward easily, for I am the power in my world. Now off you go, get some friends together and watch the movie. I'm sure you'll love it.